Global fertilizer markets remain difficult to read. Questions around Middle East shipping routes, Chinese exports, European production, and demand trends continue to create uncertainty for buyers around the world. At the same time, fertilizer markets are moving in different directions, forcing growers to rethink how and when they make purchasing decisions. I'm Johanna Bota, and joining us today to discuss the fertilizer outlook and what farmers should be watching is Josh Linville, VP of Fertilizer at StoneX. Always great talking to you, Josh. Let's start with the big picture. So, given the uncertainty across global fertilizer markets, why is it becoming increasingly important for buyers to tailor their purchasing strategy to each specific nutrient market?
Yeah, so let's start off by saying, I mean, obviously, we are never in a position that we want to tell anybody this is exactly what you have to do. This is
Hmm.
what you 100% have to do. That's not our position. We
Yeah.
are not the one in the hot seats. We're not the one answering to all of our input suppliers, our bankers, and everybody like that. It's just a suggestion, something that consider.
Yeah.
But when I go through the marketplace and I talk to people and you have conversations, the prevailing commentary goes back to one thing:
Hmm.
confusion. Prices are high, prices are low, they've moved quickly, some haven't moved at all. Why hasn't this moved? Is the Strait of Hormuz going to reopen or not? Nobody knows quite what to take. And when you see a little bit of the slowdown in the marketplace here in the last couple weeks, I think that's the prevailing situation. Everybody just kind of looking at it, scratching their head, being like, I don't know how to approach this.
Hmm.
I know for a long, long time, for generations, farmers would go in and they buy their fertilizer all at once. Typically buy during your time frame or when you think it's the low of the marketplace, and you cross your fingers. You have just put all of your eggs
Hmm.
into one
Basket,
basket
yeah.
on your single biggest input per acre or whatever your measurement is.
Hmm.
I think when we look into this year, as we start to move forward and we start to look ahead to that 2027 cycle, maybe we need to consider a different approach. A little bit like what we do on the grain side. We
Hmm.
don't sell all of our grain at the same time. We sell it in pieces. We sell it when the price gets good. Don't try to do every single thing on the exact same day, or at
Hmm.
least most people that I talk to don't do that. And I think because of the confusion, because of the risk, because of the uncertainty, we need to try and look at trying to mirror a little bit of that on the grain side. Now, there's probably going to be some people that are like, well, that's extra work. That's a lot more conversations. Good. That keeps us connected to the marketplace. That keeps us connected to our supplier locally to have an idea of what's going on, how are logistics, how are supplies, how are things looking. More conversations are a good thing. And I understand it's more work. It's a few more things we've got to do. And even on the retail, the co-op side, they might be like, no, Josh, shut up. We'd rather just sell it all at once and not worry about it. But as I look ahead with all the risk,
Hmm.
and are there some tools that are starting to grow, like CME 10-ton urea contract that's tailored for the farmers? Yes,
Hmm.
yes, there is. But I think another great way we could start to kind of spread out this risk is take a page from our grain book. Like a lot of the things we do in fertilizer,
Yeah.
we don't have to buy it all one time. Let's try and layer this stuff out. And I think that will, I'm not going to sit there and say it means that you're going to be at the bottom for every single ton, but I think it's going to keep you at a fairly good spot from an average.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in limbo for so long that confusion is definitely the word of the time right now. You just mentioned urea, where we've seen a notable shift. After reaching extreme highs, prices have come down considerably. How does today's market compare with where we were, I don't know, a year ago? And what has changed?
Yeah, so I've wrote down some numbers. I'm gonna be looking down at my other screen here,
That's
so I'm
okay.
still paying attention, I
I want to
promise.
get exact
But I
numbers, so
think
thank you.
exactly. So when went through it, I took a look at NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana,
Hmm.
urea markets, and I looked at Middle East urea markets just to get a little bit of a sense, where are we today versus a year ago versus the day before the start of the war? And what I looked at and what I found out, NOLA urea, again, these are barge values, physical barge values. 1 year ago today,
Hmm.
barges were trading somewhere in the range of 430 to 455, depending on the time frame that the barge shipped.
Hmm.
If you go back to the day before the war started, February 27th,
Yep.
barges were 455 to 470.
Hmm.
Not a whole lot of a change. At the height of it, 780. Now I'm running down, I think the highest number was 782, but 780 is the absolute high, the worst case
Yeah.
scenario. As of yesterday, when the market closed, 355.
So way,
The
way
market
lower
has
than
come
a
off
year ago.
considerably
Yeah.
lower. And then you start to look at the Middle East and like, okay, Nola's been trading at a massive discount to the world like logistical chains.
Hmm.
What's the Middle East? Because that's where all this is truly at. 1 year ago today, Middle East values are somewhere around 420. February 27th, again the day before, 475. The height of it, $900.
Hmm.
Today, that's all the way back down to $430. We are flat to what we were a year ago.
Yeah.
So phosphate values remained extremely high. Um, UAN and hydrous remain really high. They have some other outside problems. Urea has corrected a significant amount.
Yeah.
That is a much more normal value. Now, again, we start looking at versus grain values. There's a lot to not like about those numbers, but it's done a lot of work to drop its price to try and entice those buyers to come back to the marketplace sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, you also just mentioned phosphate because, like you said, prices have shown little sign of weakening, even as vessel traffic through the strait resumes. So, can you tell us what's keeping this market so supported and what risks could determine the next move in prices?
I still think there's more damage that has been done to the phosphate market than people think.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. Look at the price and you're like, there's no way anybody's ever going to put those tons on. They're never going to use it.
Yeah.
And I fully agree. Listen, guys, if this price remains where it's at, we don't see a sizable correction by the fall season, I think it will be the smallest and won't even be a close second fall application demand cycle that we have ever seen.
Yeah.
There are so many people that we're talking to who are just sitting there saying, it doesn't even come close to making sense. My soil profiles are very, very good. I can either wait until the spring season to see if it improves, or I can just skip it altogether, or I can reduce my application rate. So I think if there's not a massive
Massive correction.
correction,
Yeah.
we are going to see a ton of demand destruction. And normally, what do we think? Demand destruction means we just showed the system. We, rose to power and we push that price back down. The Strait of Hormuz being closed did so many things to so much of the world.
Hmm.
Again, 5 countries, guys.
Yeah.
5 countries control the phosphate market. It's China, it's Russia, it's Saudi Arabia, it's Morocco, and the US. Okay, China's not exporting.
Yeah.
They have not exported. They're not even showing any signs of exporting anytime soon.
Hmm.
So they're having their own production problems. The Strait of Hormuz. Not only does that mean that Saudi Arabia is unable to export their finished goods at a normal pace, they've been leaking some stuff out to the West Coast facilities, but they need that normal pace.
Yeah.
And it also means things like anhydrous and sulfur can't export. Those are your 2 biggest variable costs. So even if we did start to draw this price down, which the market feels like it wants to, even if you start to drop that price, the manufacturer is going to say, my cost of production is so high.
Doesn't make any sense.
You drop it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
drop the market back. I'm going to shut down my production
Hmm.
and I'm going to rebalance this SD because I can't produce it at a loss. So I think with all this going on, you've lost one of your 5 players. And all the rest of the players in the world who are so dependent on those exports from the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz are also suffering because you cannot get those inputs. You cannot get those variable cost inputs to come into
Hmm.
your facilities and keep running at operating rates that are normal for you. So,
Yeah.
all said, we've done a tremendous amount of phosphate. It took a long time to get here, and I think phosphate's going to take a little while to correct. It's not to sit there and say the straight opening does not mean it's going to correct. I think that it will. I just think it's going to take a longer time. It's a smaller market. There are less participants, but I think when everybody looks at it, if the strait stays open, I know cross our fingers,
Hmm.
but I think that's going to mean better things ahead for the phosphate market.
We can only hope that it reopens soon. Josh, thank you as always for joining us and sharing your perspective on today's fertilizer markets. And thank you to our viewers for watching. For more financial content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.